Donald Trump has created a huge mess for Republicans that they're still not able to dig themselves out of because he wrongly accused Kamala Harris of, quote, turning black. And on the Sunday shows today, there was a contentious interview between Byron Daniels, who is a Republican congressman, and George Stephanopoulos over these remarks. Byron tried many times to get out of it, and George just kept doing what reporters should do, which is repeating the question until there was an answer. I want you to see this first part, and then we'll talk about it.
Why is former President Trump questioning the vice president's racial identity?
Well, first, George, in Chicago, he was responding to a question from, I believe, Rachel Scott. Like, this is really a phony controversy. I don't really care. Most people don't. But if we're going to be accurate, all
right, so then he just goes into like a tirade of propaganda where he doesn't even talk about the question. And if he doesn't care about it, he should, because it is an attack that is racist, and it's also going to help Kamala Harris win, because people who see themselves in Kamala Harris know what this is. It is a racist attack. Black women are a huge voting bloc in the Democratic Party, and Donald Trump has just activated them in a way that maybe they wouldn't have been previously. I mean, Kamala is a historic figure, and so I'm sure there was a lot of energy anyway, but this just multiplies the energy behind her. But let's see how George Stephanopoulos responds. Real quick, if you're liking this video, hit like, and please subscribe. It helps get this into the algorithm so more people can see it. Thanks so much.
But yes, he did mention it in Chicago in response to a question from Rachel Scott.
And you just repeated the slur again. If it doesn't matter, why do you all keep questioning her identity? She's always identified as a black woman. She is biracial. She has a Jamaican father and an Indian mother. She's always identified as both. Why are you questioning that?
Well, George, first of all, this is something that's actually a conversation throughout social media right now. There were a lot of people who are trying to figure this out. But again, that's a side issue, not the main issue.
I'm going to pause that real fast. The reason why it's a conversation on social media is because why? Byron Daniels, why? Because Donald Trump made it an issue. He levied a lie, a racist lie, to try to, I don't know, question her racial identity. It's nuts, and there's no answering for it, and you're going to see he has no answer.
Sir, 1 second. You just did it. You just did it again.
Of the United States.
Why do you insist on questioning her racial identity?
You want me to talk?
I want you to answer my question.
George, now that you're done yelling at me, let me answer. He talked about it on the stage yesterday in Atlanta for, what, 2 minutes? He spent more than 35, 40 minutes going after her record, talking about how radical of a senator that she was. She was the most liberal senator in the United States, in the United States Senate. That is a fact. He talked about the job that she did as vice president of the United States, a job, I will add, which has been a failure for the American people. I know you guys like to glom on to this that he talks about in jest or in a serious manner for about a minute or so, but what you do not cover is the litany of failures of Kamala Harris. That's what you're not covering, George.
So questioning somebody's racial identity for a couple minutes is okay?
George, I'm going to tell you again, he brought it up. AP is the one that wrote the headline when she first came in to the United States Senate. Didn't talk about her being black, talked about her being the first Indian American senator. AP.
I have that AP story. I'm going to show it to you after this. This is obviously a lie. We know he's lying, but I'm just going to show it to you so you have the facts so you can bring it into your own communities. Let's keep going.
That up. I mean, George, we could have this conversation for the entire segment, but none of this matters to the American people. What matters to the American people is, are we going to have the same policies of the Biden-Harris administration that has been destructive of the American people, or are we going to have the policies of the Trump administration, which put America first, had low inflation, prosperous Americans, no matter your race, no matter your color, no matter your creed, and a foreign policy that kept America safe? Those are the facts that truly matter, because this issue is going to come and go. The lives of the American people is what's going to remain, and that's what matters more than anything else.
If it doesn't matter, I don't understand why you keep on repeating it, why the president keeps on repeating it, why those introducing the president yesterday
George,
keep on
actually,
repeating
I'm
it.
not the one who keeps repeating it. George, you're the one that's bringing it up now. That's you.
You've done it,
I understand why
sir.
you
You've done it.
up.
You've done it
Because,
3 times. Every single answer
George,
you gave me. Now let me finish, sir.
George,
every single answer you gave, you repeated the slur.
You asked me, George. That's why I'm pushing back on you now. George, you
Right,
asked
and-
me the question 3 times. I responded, but I'm
And
also
every
about
single
what
time you
truly
repeat
matters
the
in this
slur,
election.
that is exactly my point. You simply can't say that it's wrong.
George, so then what you're saying, and I want to get off this topic because it's not the only thing that's going on. But George, now you're saying that AP is the one that slurred Kamala Harris, because those are the facts. You can go to the internet and look at the clips, George, if you want to, or we can talk about this now. I prefer to talk about the future of our country because the American people are struggling. The American people do need serious policy decisions to be made, and they need serious leadership on the world stage. Kamala Harris has not proven that she can do that. Donald J. Trump has proven that he can do that.
AP did not say that Kamala Harris is not black. She is biracial. She is Indian. She is black. You continue to repeat the fact that you continue to repeat the slur. I don't understand why you and the president do it, but it's clear you're not going to say that it's wrong. And you've now established that for our audience. Trump also said at the convention that he would
George,
pardon
all I'm gonna
January
say is
6
warning internet,
rioters.
Everybody look for themselves. Let's move on.
I've already said that. Go
Look on
ahead.
the internet, everybody. Let's move on. There we go.
You go on and repeat the slurs again. Trump also said at the convention.
Honestly, an incredible interview. Hats off to George Stephanopoulos. If you think he did a great job pushing back on these racist lies, leave a comment below. I want to kind of briefly talk about one thing, which is that when Byron Daniels keeps saying that I want to talk about the policies, well, yeah, I guess that would be great. You don't really have policies. What policies does Donald? I watched a rally yesterday. Donald Trump attacked everyone, including America, praised Putin, and continued the racist slur against Kamala Harris, and didn't really once talk about any policies. So what policies do you want to talk about? And if there were policies, the reason why you can't talk about them, friend, is because the leader of your party had the audacity to make a racist slur. And I will say, it's not 2008. It's not 2012. It's not 2016. This stuff does not fly anymore. Reporters have gotten very smart. And, as much as I like to complain about the media, the reporters really are not taking the bait on this at all. At all. They are doing the job they need to be doing around pushing back on this racist lie. And again, it is not a winning argument. This isn't Hillary in 2016, where she has like 30 years of, whether or not you like her, there is 30 years of Republicans' attack that created some sort of aura of baggage around her. Kamala Harris doesn't have it. She has high favorabilities. People like her. They think she's relatable. They see themselves in her. And when you're attacking someone like this, it's not winning. But again, I feel like I'm giving way too much good advice on this channel. Like, just keep doing it, because this is not how you win. This is how you lose. It's a losing issue. I feel like yesterday they lost Georgia from that rally. They're going to continue bleeding voters. They need to win the suburbs. They need to win white women in the suburbs in order to have a chance at winning. Do you think this is going to help them? I don't think so. All right, so let's just look at that. Snopes fact-checked all this about that AP headline that keeps getting mentioned. I want you to see this so you know, and you can tell any of your MAGA friends or family in your life, or if you want to push back online. AP headlines called Harris Indian American in 2016. Despite Trump's implications that the headlines were contradictory, they were not. Harris's parents, who met when they were studying at the University of California, came from different backgrounds. Her father, a former professor of economics at Stanford University, is a black man from Jamaica. Her mother, a breast cancer researcher at Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory, was born in India. Both of them became naturalized U.S. citizens, and their daughter was born in the U.S., which means she was a U.S. citizen at birth. While there had been black U.S. senators before, no Indian American had ever been elected to the Senate. So this was the first time it was brought up. So this is the fact that the AP sought to underscore in 2016. Later in 2020, she became the first black female and the first Indian American vice presidential nominee in history. Yeah, so the AP is not going to write a story about the first or the second or third or fourth black female senator. That's just not something they're going to do. But if she's the first Indian American, that's what they're going to have a headline about. So it's like it's just all gunk. They're just throwing gunk up into the air. And guess what? It's not flying at her. It's hitting them.
I don't know what's wrong with you young people. You think you just fell out of a coconut tree?